Some confessions grip your heart so fiercely that every unspoken word transforms into a towering mountain, its weight increasing with the passage of time. Today marks the moment I unveil the suffocating weight that has burdened me, the secret I have concealed within the depths of my heart. I must admit, at the age of 60, an event unfolded that ignited a sense of vitality within me like never before, arriving at the most unforeseen moment. On that particular morning, the hot water in the bathroom had once again failed to flow. The leaky faucets and my disrupted routines served as a poignant reminder of how monotonous my existence had become, echoing the same patterns over and over. Isolation, quietude, and monotony. Since my husband's passing, I found myself relying on others for every repair that arises in the house. I selected a plumber at random from the phone book. Otis, the youthful voice resonating from the other end, declared with a calm assurance, "I can come over today." His voice held an indescribable quality that piqued my curiosity. I made an effort to remain indifferent, considering this was merely a problem with the faucet. Yet, with the sudden chime of the doorbell, the atmosphere shifted entirely. As I swung the door open, the young man before me radiated a vibrant energy that effortlessly dispelled the monotony that had settled over my existence. Otis let his toolbox slip from his shoulder, the heavy thud echoing as it hit the floor at the entrance. "Is the restroom in this direction?" he inquired. For a fleeting moment, I paused, contemplating before reaching my hand down the hallway. Indeed, simply pass through that door. To be among the first to uncover these intriguing secrets, be sure to subscribe and activate your notifications. Stay tuned for the entire video, as it promises to take a delightfully strange turn. I guided him toward the bathroom door. The young man's imposing stature dominated the narrow hallway. His muscles were apparent beneath the delicate fabric of his shirt. In that fleeting instant, I found it impossible to restrain my impulses. My gaze was locked onto him. It had been ages since I laid eyes on a form like that. My gaze lingered for a moment longer than I had planned. Upon entering the bathroom, he exuded an air of unwavering confidence. He seemed to be more than a mere plumber, he was a key holder, poised to unlock a door that had remained sealed for ages. "Is this the tap?" he inquired, his gaze fixed on the aged fixture resting on the countertop. Indeed, I stumbled over my words somewhat. What caused my nerves to flare up? This was merely a task of restoration. I continually brought that to mind. Yet my heart persistently sought to craft an alternate narrative. Otis crouched low, peering beneath the sink. With each movement, the contours of his muscles beneath the fabric of his shirt grew increasingly pronounced. In that moment, I became aware that I was unconsciously holding my breath. He remarked, running his hands along the pipes, that it was somewhat of an antiquated system. Yet, there is a solution within our grasp. It may require several hours. His serene and assured voice took me by surprise. It had been years since I encountered someone so youthful yet so confidently poised. Perhaps that wasn't the issue at hand. Perhaps it was the emergence of a feeling I hadn't experienced in ages, beginning to rise to the surface. As I contemplated my exit from the bathroom, Otis suddenly pivoted, his gaze meeting mine with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. "May I retrieve a towel from that location?" he inquired, gesturing toward a minor leak in the bathroom. I raised my hand to my face, a wave of embarrassment washing over me. "Certainly," I replied without hesitation. I reached out to pull open the cabinet door. Yet, my hands quivered as I turned the handle of the door. As I passed him the towel, our fingers grazed each other for the briefest instant. The delicate sensation reverberated throughout my entire being. In that moment, it dawned on me that this was far beyond a mere repair task. The fleeting stillness that enveloped us felt laden with the burden of countless unspoken hopes. "Thanks," he remarked, returning to his tasks. Yet that fleeting glance in his eyes utterly unsettled me. I found myself pondering, was it merely a fleeting surge of emotion? Or had this young man stirred something that had lain dormant within me for years? While Otis knelt to repair the faucet, I found myself wandering restlessly around the bathroom. My hands were at a loss, unsure of their purpose. They were either ensnared in a tangle or clutching the counter tightly. The stillness in the room began to suffocate me. Yet, it was his presence that truly constricted my chest. My gaze wandered to him despite my efforts to resist, captivated by his youth, his vibrant energy, and the intensity with which he immersed himself in his work. Unbeknownst to me, a stirring within was emerging, a sensation long dormant, now reawakening after years of silence. I sensed an urge to express myself. "There aren't many young plumbers," I remarked, aware that it was perhaps an unnecessary observation. "For how long have you been engaged in this endeavor?" Otis halted for a moment, casting a glance back at me over his shoulder. The instant our gazes intertwined, a wave of warmth enveloped me. Yet, it was evident he was making an effort to look away. "For 5 years now," he remarked, redirecting his attention to the task at hand. "Embarked on my journey as an apprentice and eventually launched my own enterprise." My curiosity knew no bounds. "What is your age?" I inquired, my tone laced with an unmistakable trace of admiration. 26, he replied, unwavering in his certainty. His youth took me by surprise. Yet, concurrently, a flutter stirred within me. His youth stirred a thrill within me, a curious allure that I couldn't quite place. "Ah," I remarked, attempting to conjure a smile. "Your age of 26 is quite surprising. I wouldn't have guessed it had you not mentioned it. You appear to have gained a certain maturity." Otis hesitated before responding. Yet, I observed a subtle change in his expression, as if my words had momentarily unsettled him. Following a brief pause, he returned to his tasks. His professionalism provided the support I needed to regain my composure. Yet, that playful aspect of my personality lingered on. "Would you care for a cup of coffee once you've finished the repairs?" I remarked, attempting to steer the conversation in a different direction. "My coffee machine is truly exceptional. It is often remarked that my coffee possesses a remarkable quality." He hesitated for a moment, his shoulders tightening. He cast another look in my direction, as if engaged in some intricate mental arithmetic. "I appreciate it, but I have some tasks to attend to today. I must take my leave as soon as I complete my task." A twinge of disappointment lingered within me, one I couldn't quite shake off. Yet, it was evident that Otis was determined to maintain a professional demeanor. Perhaps that was the very element that rendered him all the more captivating. He approached his work with unwavering seriousness, maintaining a level of professionalism that belied his youth. As he completed the task, I caught him stealing glances in my direction a few times while he gathered his tools. In those glances, there lingered an undeniable blend of attraction and curiosity, yet intertwined with a palpable hesitation. "All done," he declared, casually slinging the toolbox back over his shoulder. "The hot water should be functioning properly now. If you encounter any problems, feel free to reach out to me by phone. Text I will for sure," I declared, my fingers tightening around the frame beside the door. "I appreciate your swift attention to this matter. Indeed, that is the beauty of youth." On this occasion, a faint smile graced his lips, yet he maintained his professional composure. He approached the door, hesitating for a moment, as if he had something to express. Yet he did not. He merely nodded in my direction before departing. A connection seemed to be blossoming between me and that young man, an occurrence that was never meant to unfold. Yet, I found myself uncertain of its destination. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, my heart raced with an unfamiliar intensity. I found myself pondering, was this merely a plumbing problem? Had this young man come into my life to bring about a transformation? The following morning, as I stepped into the bathroom to indulge in a refreshing shower, I observed that the faucet continued to yield only cold water. I can't recall ever feeling such joy over a glitch before. The finger I held out trembled slightly. I discovered Otis's number nestled within my contacts and proceeded to call him. My heart quickened as the phone chimed. "Hey, Otis," I said, infusing my voice with a hint of urgency. "It seems that the faucet you repaired yesterday is misbehaving once more. I sincerely apologize. Is there a chance you might return? Otis's voice carried the hallmark of professionalism, yet a brief pause punctuated his delivery. Absolutely, I'll make sure to bring along some spare parts this time so we can resolve it once and for all. I shall arrive in approximately 1 hour. I expressed my gratitude, and as I ended the call, an unusual surge of exhilaration coursed through me. This time, I sought to be better equipped. Yet, I yearned to appear as though I was caught off guard. As I sifted through the contents of my wardrobe, my fingers brushed against the delicate fabric of my cherished black lace nightgown. Simply a touch of comfort. I attempted to persuade myself, yet the truth became undeniable as I gazed into the mirror. As the doorbell chimed, I inhaled deeply and swung the door open. Otis's gaze flickered over me for just a moment, but he swiftly composed himself. He carried his tool bag, accompanied by several pipe pieces. "Hey," I remarked, as if my ensemble was perfectly ordinary. "I trust I'm not imposing on you excessively. This faucet is testing my patience." Otis averted his eyes and made his way toward the bathroom door. "No problem," he replied. "This time, I will ensure it is resolved once and for all." I trailed behind him into the bathroom. As he leaned down to repair the faucet, I observed each subtle shift of his form. His hands moved with agility and expertise, yet an air of tension lingered about him. "Is this a frequent occurrence?" I inquired, attempting to bridge the quiet that enveloped us. The delicate fabric of my nightgown caressed my skin, igniting a sense of daring within me. "Do the things you repair occasionally break down again?" Otis kept his gaze fixed downward as he replied. "At times, uncertainty lingers, yet this occasion feels distinctly promising. I have every component I could possibly require at my disposal." "How meticulous you are," I remarked, offering him a faint smile. "You seem to excel in your role, especially considering your youth." As I extended my hand toward the faucet, my fingers inadvertently grazed his arm with a gentle touch. Otis paused briefly, caught in a moment of stillness, before resuming his tasks with renewed focus. He averted his gaze, yet the palpable tension between us was unmistakable. "I'm simply trying to do my job," he finally remarked, his voice dropping to a softer tone. A hush fell over the scene, lingering in the air for a moment. His aloof demeanor only served to embolden me further. As he bent down to inspect the pipe beneath the faucet, I gently placed my hand on his back for a fleeting moment. "It's quite a challenge to come across someone with your level of skill," I remarked, my voice laced with a playful jest. This time, Otis lifted his posture and met my gaze. In his eyes lingered a flicker of uncertainty, a tautness that spoke of inner turmoil, and a desperate effort to maintain a semblance of control. "Sarah," he said, uttering my name as if he were striving to maintain some semblance of distance. "The completion of this task is nearly at hand. Following this, I shall refrain from troubling you further." Yet, for a fleeting moment, the severity in his voice appeared to waver. Observing his attempts to break free from this predicament awakened a deep feeling within me. It was a thrill, a yearning that had lain dormant within me for far too long. The duration of this tension was uncertain, yet we had reached a threshold, and the decision of who would dare to cross that line rested solely in our hands. As Otis bent down to attend to the faucet, I propped myself against the nearby cabinet, my gaze fixed on him. The delicate fabric of my nightgown clung to my form with each subtle movement, crafting an undeniably alluring silhouette. Otis feigned indifference, yet I couldn't overlook the subtle quiver in his hands. The quiver served as evidence that he was not resisting me. He was grappling with his own inner turmoil. "Do you truly believe you have a firm grasp on your actions?" I inquired, infusing my voice with a playful hint of teasing. Otis remained focused on his task, his gaze fixed ahead, yet the rhythm of his breath grew increasingly rapid. "Certainly," he responded briefly. "This is a simple task." "Is that so?" I remarked, inching a bit nearer. "So, what causes it to fail once more every few days?" I lowered myself, feigning the act of retrieving a towel from the cabinet. As I moved, The delicate strap of my nightgown gracefully slid down my shoulder. Donning it instilled in me a newfound sense of bravery. As Otis raised his gaze to meet mine, his eyes lingered for a fleeting moment. He swiftly returned to his tasks. Yet this time, he accelerated, as if eager to conclude the task at hand with utmost urgency. Perhaps there exists another culprit in the bathroom contributing to the issue, he remarked, as he adjusted the faucet with a firm grip. Yet, there was a subtle tremor in his voice, as he endeavored to project strength. Perhaps, I remarked, reclining against the cabinet. Perhaps the issue lies in the elusive quest for the perfect touch. I allowed that sentence to linger in the atmosphere. The silence enveloped the room, and the tension within the confines of the bathroom grew nearly intolerable. Otis lingered in silence for a heartbeat more, then set his tools aside and rose to his feet. His movements were deliberate, yet the expression etched upon his face revealed a tumult of emotions. On one side, there was control; on the other, a yearning he struggled to contain. I moved even closer to him, the space between us shrinking to mere inches. His breath was audible to me. "Otis," I murmured, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. Yet, just as I was about to conclude, his hands found their way to my waist. With each fleeting second, the tension in Sarah's lips grew, coiling tighter like a spring ready to snap. The quivering in Otis's body hinted at an impending transformation. Swift. The stillness enveloping us shattered only by the rhythm of our breaths and the steady thump of our heartbeats. In that instant, all things converged. "Sarah, we shouldn't do this," he said, his voice faltering, imbued with a sense of vulnerability that hung in the air. "Indeed," I remarked, moving nearer to him. "Do you truly believe that, Otis?" In that fleeting instant, he faltered, as though the weight of the world had become too much to bear, and then, quite unexpectedly, pressed his lips against mine. Our kiss began with a tentative touch, but soon, the fervor that ignited between us became undeniable. With our eyes shut, we intertwined in a silent embrace. With each fleeting moment, Otis drew me nearer, and we began our journey toward the bedroom, colliding with walls along the way. Our hands intertwined, our hearts pounding, and in a fleeting instant of abandon, I sensed the world shifting rapidly around us. As we entered the bedroom, Otis's hand was securely wrapped around my waist, and with no hesitation, I quickened my pace. Everything unfolded with such swiftness that, before I fully grasped the moment, we found ourselves ensnared in a tangible attraction. As my thoughts continued to swirl and grapple with the unfolding reality, my body, in a quiet act of submission, had already yielded to him. It was a blunder, yet it bore the weight of inevitability. Upon entering the bedroom, it became evident that everything had unraveled in an instant. Otis's t-shirt lay abandoned in the bathroom, while his pants sprawled carelessly on the floor beside the bed. The delicate nightgown, crafted from the thinnest of fabrics, lay abandoned in the hallway, its soft material trailing across the carpet. Chaos surrounded us, yet neither of us could find a moment of tranquility. We lay on the bed, entwined, our bodies pressed together, each breath mirroring the other. In an instant, the world around me seemed to freeze, as if time itself had paused to catch its breath. Articulating the depths of my emotions proved to be a formidable challenge. I found myself adrift in an ocean of all that exists. Otis's powerful embrace enveloped me, my eyelids sealed shut, yet the world around me remained vividly audible. "Are you able to take a breath?" I inquired, a subtle smile gracing my lips as I rested my head against his chest. My hands lingered on his body, attuned to every subtle shift and motion. "Indeed," Otis replied, his voice quivering yet resolute. "I suppose so, but I have never experienced anything quite like this before." A stillness enveloped the space for a brief moment. In that instant, Otis's breath quickened, and I found it impossible to overlook. "Truly," I remarked, my lips lingering with a warmth that surpassed his. "What shall we do next?" "Sarah, I'm not sure, but I suppose everything was as intricate as it was just," he murmured, his fingers weaving through my hair. "Yet, one undeniable truth remains, your presence beside me at this moment surpasses all else. In an instant, time slipped away from me. My thoughts swirled in a haze, yet I found myself savoring the present. Yet, in an instant, clarity washed over me, and I found myself questioning whether this was merely a fleeting madness or something deeper. What is the best way to articulate this? I inquired, a subtle smile playing on my lips. Otis gazed at me for a fleeting moment, uncertainty flickering in his eyes, yet beneath it all lay a profound yearning. "I don't believe an explanation is necessary," he remarked, his voice measured and deliberate. "At times, certain matters exist beyond the realm of explanation." We reclined closely on the bed, our breaths intertwining, enveloped in the enchantment of the moment. Yet, a singular question continued to swirl in my mind. Could this have been merely a fleeting lapse in judgment? Or could this be the dawn of something entirely different? With a deliberate gaze fixed on Otis, I inquired. "What is the conclusion to this, Otis? Have you not considered it?" After a moment of contemplation, Otis inhaled deeply. "We'll think about it later, Sarah," he murmured, his fingers weaving through my hair. "At this very moment, let us simply savor the experience." The emotions within me swirled in a labyrinthine dance, yet one truth stood resolute: that moment transcended all else. This night, this moment, belonged solely to us, and regardless of what transpired, it would forever be etched in our memories. In that moment, silence enveloped everything. Yet, within this silence lay a chance to grasp not only the past and the future but the entirety of existence itself. Having journeyed to this point, it's clear that the narrative has captivated your attention. There is an abundance of experiences to convey, and you certainly won't want to overlook a single moment of it. Be sure to click the follow button, activate notifications, and share your thoughts on this story in the comments. I'm eager to